Good morning, everyone who's watching. If you can hear me, say something in the chat board to let me know you can hear me. Good morning, everyone who's watching. If you can hear me, say something in the chat board to let me know you can hear me. Hey there, Marianne. How are you? Libra lady, good morning. How are you this morning? Glad to see you guys could make it. Well, I'm glad to hear you're great. I'm great as well, actually. I am doing well. I am doing wonderful. Good morning, Judith. How are you this morning? We'll be starting here in just a few moments. I'm going to turn down my sound so it doesn't affect our sound over here. What's that? Boom. There you go. So you shouldn't be hearing any of the blips again. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Jenny Brown, my neighbor, how are you? We need to set up our second call, Jenny Brown. It's just been so busy to get back to you on that one. It's just been crazy this past month. But I haven't forgotten you. Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, you guys are stuck with just me today. No special guests. So I hope that's going to be fine for you all. I got some good stuff coming, though, so it's good. I promise we'll have more later. And actually, at some point, I'd like to get some of you guys to come on and just either record something that tells a story of living, loving, or something of that nature. So let me know if anybody's interested in recording a little quick story of an example of living, loving, because I think it really needs to be a community talking about this and showing the examples of what we can do. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. We're on in about 45 seconds or so. So this is my pre-show hangout with you guys and be the voice above. It's kind of fun for me to talk to you guys before we get started. Hello, Sherry. How are you? Welcome to the Live Loving Livestream, a gathering of love-minded people. Here I come. All right, so I'm here. I'm on. According to my camera, I'm not even paying attention. You guys are so good over there that I'm just enjoying talking to you so much. It's wonderful. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you guys had a lovely week since I spoke to you last. I'm very, very much excited about what's going on today. For those of you who are just joining, you're stuck with just me today. No special guests, but I got some big plans for today, which I think will be good. And I was saying beforehand that what I'd like to do at some point is start having some of you guys either shoot a quick video of yourself telling a story of living, loving, and the response you got from it. Because I would like to make this really an event where it's the community talking about living, loving, and how we can start to spread this rather than just have it be one spot where we all come together. So if you have any great little stories of you doing something loving and getting an immediate reaction from it or a response from it that's positive, let me know. And if you have no means of recording it, let me know. We can set up a Zoom call. I can record it directly for you, because I think sharing that kind of thing is really important. That we see that it's not just the people who I bring onto the show to talk, but it is the community that's growing and bringing that love out there to the world. Yay, empathy, peace for all. How are you? Everybody's showing up now. Hello, Suzanne. How are you? Excellent. So let me just talk about a couple little things. Number one, midnight tonight, of course, the next Spirit Cafe will be airing, and Spirit Cafe with the lovely Tamara's owner, my cohort in crime. And she asked me this past week why I call her the cohort in crime. Because every time I say co-host, I want to say cohort, and whenever I say cohort, I've got to say in crime because it's part of the deal. Everything's going great, Suzanne. Thank you. Also, I wanted to say this next guest for Spirit Cafe, I think you guys are going to love this man. His name is Joseph Corella. He was born as a gay man and was raised in the born-again Christian faith and had very big struggles and worked his way out, and he found his own spirituality through dance. And he actually took his passions and his love of dance, and he created this new lifestyle, and he actually does some amazing work helping people break out of their body. He's like, it doesn't matter what you think, you don't judge your dance. Anybody can dance. And he really shows a really amazing, the interview was wonderful. It was beautiful in the way the story was told. And I'm very proud of this episode that's airing tonight. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. When I edited it, I was like, wow, this is just the perfect story for Spirit Cafe. Last week I started a new quick segment in this situation, and it's called Positive News, and this is from the goodnewsnetwork.org. And this one stuck out to me today, so I thought I'd share it. In an attempt to diffuse religious tensions in the country, the Bangladeshi parliament plans to amend the constitution so they can return to a secular framework, removing Islam as the state religion. Originally designed as a secular nation not tied to any one holy book, the Constitution of Bangladesh was meant to establish a state based upon a melting pot of liberal culture with Bengali distinct linguistic traditions. The goal was undermined, as is so often the case in fledgling states, through a military junta by Ziaur Rahman. Islam was then introduced as the state religion to dominate Hindus, Buddhists, and Christians using military dictatorships established first in 1975. But the government is ready to turn back the page. Quote, Bangladesh is a secular country. People of all religions shall live together in Bangladesh, said Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who controls 280 of the 300 seats in parliament. She added, religion may be personal, but festival is universal, and people in Bangladesh have always celebrated such festivals together. Hasina, who brought down the last military regime, which had killed her father, has survived 19 assassination attempts. Now the longest-serving prime minister in the South Asian country, her latest action is expected to face little resistance beyond street agitations. The decision to secularize the nation is not only a response to attacks on Hindus, but is meant to return equilibrium to religious freedoms for residents in the country, the right to choose to attend any church or mosque or temple with equal dignity for all. I love this story because it allows everyone to express themselves to God in whatever form they feel comfortable with. It lets them come to that place of being a personal journey. She said spirituality. She almost said spirituality is personal. So I was like, yeah, that's so smart. But the interesting thing about her, the 19 assassination attempts on her life and everything, no matter what happened, she kept following what she felt was the loving and right thing to do. She kept doing the small little things and just kept going. And now she has 280 out of 300 seats in Parliament behind her. There's a movement in that country that is changing from divisive religions and into, inclusive religions where people can then start celebrating each other's religions and beliefs and discuss them openly and talk about, how they connect to their God, how they connect to the source. I love seeing stories like this because it's what I've been talking about all along, how religion has been falling to the wayside and the new spiritual thought has been coming forward. Hey, Gina, thank you for saying that. Hit the like button. Also, guys, you know what? I want to give a gratitude moment. We got monetized this week. And I want you to think about how miraculous that really is. In 7 weeks, we went from having no channel to being monetized on YouTube. And so I want you guys to think about the idea of how much energy is behind that, because in 7 weeks, we went from no subscribers to 1,270 subscribers, over 5,000 watch hours. When I had my corporate YouTube channel, I had over 600 videos on that channel. And from 2013 till this year, it only had 248 subscribers. And in the past 12 months, it had 238 watch hours. So it was there was not an energy behind it that this channel seems to be getting, and I'm very excited. So if you'll notice at the bottom, and I'm not pimping this, but if you notice at the bottom of your chat board, we actually can super chat now. So if that's something you're interested in doing, I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just telling you if that's something you're interested in doing, it's right there to do. Now let's talk about another thing. Let's talk about that. Back to that story, that lovely prime minister who's doing that great work. It was the small things she was doing. It was the small little things that kept her moving towards this goal of being a secular country again. When I talk about live loving, I've often talked about going to the grocery store and just simply smiling and seeing the smile erupt around you. When after 9/11, I ended up going on 6 USO tours. And when we were over there, we understood the reason why we were there. We weren't there just to entertain soldiers. We were there to entertain and be a representative of love in those countries. And so we were in Djibouti, Africa, at the base there, and we were like, well, can we get off the base and go out and do some stuff for some locals? So we ended up going to a boys' orphanage and performing there. When we were in Jalalabad, Afghanistan, the Afghanis were asking if they could come watch the show. And we were like, yes, make sure they come watch the show, because they need to see that not all Americans are toting guns. Some of us are just bringing something positive. But the story that always stands out to me, it's the one, we went to Bagram Airfield, which is, yes, Bagram Airfield, the one you just heard about on the news with the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Bagram Airfield. We were on that base, and we had performed one night, and the next day, during the day, we were walking along, and we're like, hey guys, we need to find something else we can do. Can we go to the hospital or something and entertain those guys who don't get a chance to get out? And they said, sure, we can go to the hospital, but there's no soldiers there. We're like, well, who is there? They said, well, it's mainly Afghani children who wandered into minefields or had other sort of accidents. We said, well, we definitely want to go then. So we ran to the hospital to see, And we went in, and it was, I'd say there was a total of 8 beds in the entire room. And what happens with the U.S. soldiers, they come in there, they get stabilized, and then they get flown to Germany to Ramstein Air Base, which is the big hospital. So the U.S. soldiers don't stay in that field hospital very long. But these were the Afghans who had been injured. We had 2 who were hauling bags of gasoline, and somehow the gasoline ignited, and that was terrible injuries to them. And we had several who were children who had wandered into minefields. But we had with us one of the most caring and loving individuals that I have ever met in my life, a man named Todd Key. And Todd Key is a juggler, and he does children's shows in libraries, and he actually wrote a children's book. And if you want to look him up, he's Todd Key Juggles. He's just a lovely, lovely man. And I want to tell you a story about how love goes past language, transcends language. Love is a universal language that we all can share. So we're in that room with those children, and there was one little girl sitting, not in a bed, sitting in a chair. She had shrapnel marks on her face. She had one hand that was completely bandaged all the way over. Her other hand had bandages from the wrist down. And Todd, being the loving, gentle soul that he is, gives her a smile. And he has what I call the Santa twinkle. When he smiles, his eyes really twinkle, right? And he gets that he gets that attention really quick. So he looks at this little girl, and she's like shy. And Todd, being a professional variety artist / clown, reaches into his bag of tricks and pulls out a ball and blows it up. So it's a big, like a beach ball sort of thing, right? But it's heavier. It's a little rubber. It's rubber, and he he takes it and he throws it up in the air, and he catches it on his finger, and he's spinning it like one of the old Harlem Globetrotters used to do. He's got the ball spinning, and she's looking at it. She's amazed, and he's sitting there holding it again. He points at her hand that is only bandaged from the wrist down. He points at her hand, and he gestures for her to put her finger up. And she's like, so he reaches out, and he takes her by the hand. He puts her hand up and puts the finger up for her. Meanwhile, the ball is still spinning. And he reaches over, and he sets the ball on her finger. And she's sitting there, and she's now, the ball spinning on her finger. She's like overjoyed, smiling, like a huge smile. Giant smile, right? And then he takes the ball and he sets it aside, and he reaches into his bag of tricks, and he pulls out a short length of rope. And he starts rocking the rope back and forth. And then holding on to one end of the rope, he throws it up in the air, and he ties a knot in midair within this rope. And she's amazed. It's like a magic trick. Wow, how do you do that? That's amazing. So he looks at her, and he digs into his bag. He pulls out a second rope, and he hands it to her. And she's looking at him. He's like, and he's trying to show her how to do it. So he ends up going behind her, taking her hand, and doing the gesture with her, and showing her how to tie the knot in midair. So he shows her how to do it. Now she's doing this thing. She's tying this knot in midair. She's overjoyed. She's thrilled, right? We're all laughing. All the Afghanis in the room with us were laughing as well. And you know, it's just a wonderful experience. And when we went to every bed in there, we spoke to every child. We did juggling. We did all kinds of fun stuff. I did a fake sword swallow. I swallowed a balloon, which is a magic trick that I do. And we just had a really fun time entertaining these kids. Well, as we're walking out of the hospital, doctor comes up to us, and he says, guys, thank you so much for coming. You know, we very rarely get the entertainers come over to the hospital. He said, but I want to share with you how important what you're doing is. He says, that young lady has been with us for 6 weeks. She will not let anybody touch her arms unless she is asleep or sedated. He said, we have not been able to get her blood pressure while she was awake, while she's here. He says, we just took her blood pressure for the first time because of what you just did, because you made that connection with her. Now, I want to share with you a beautiful picture. This picture is the moment that Todd placed the ball on her finger. Well, just before, actually, I guess. And that is the lovely Todd. And you'll notice all the Afghans up behind him there, and all the soldiers and everyone watching this scene. And if you look at her face, first of all, you'll notice the shrapnel marks on her forehead. But if you look at the smile, look at the simple smile of what she's experiencing at this moment, right? And Todd is just joyful and loving, as Todd always is. But he brought this loving moment to this young lady who did not speak English. She totally had a huge experience. Now look in the background at the Afghan men. Every one of them has a giant smile on their face. Every one of them is feeling the love and the joy in that room. Every one of them. Just because of the small gesture that's happening right there. I mean, that's yes, Todd has unique skills, but you can bring a smile to anybody's face, no matter where you go in the world. When I was in Egypt, I was able to make people laugh and joke with them just by, and not speaking their language. I had a young guy come up to me, he's joking around, wanted to arm wrestle me, and I grabbed his wrist and I felt his bicep, and I said, "Puh," and he started laughing because he knew I was joking with him. The more we joke with people, the more we laugh with people, the more we have that experience of joyful laughter with people, you end up creating that feeling of love that's inside. Laughter is an expression of love. And if you can create that expression of love, you can create that anywhere in the world, and it doesn't matter if they understand what you're saying. Because that's the important part of it, is the connection to that love, the connection to that feeling. If you can find that feeling, then you can spread that feeling all over the world, all over your world. Surround your world with it. Todd, still to this day, is literally going around the country, and he's around his area. He lives in Georgia. He goes around. He does library shows for children. He goes out. He does all these things that gives him an opportunity to love and care. Now, the way I met Todd was I was performing my comedy show Hack and Slash at the Georgia Renaissance Festival. We ended up being stage mates. He would do a show, we would do a show, and him and his partner, me and my partner, would do shows all day long. But we became just very close and dear friends. And for those of you who have heard me talk about being on the USO tour and having one other coffee drinker with me who would get up early and go get coffee, that was Todd. And Todd would go to the coffee place and he'd get his mug and he'd nestle it in his arms and he'd say, "Oh, dark mother, once again I suckle at thy teat." And I've stole that joke many, many times. So the idea of this really is that, Todd, if Todd can do that in a hospital in Bagram, Afghanistan, what can you do in your neighborhood? What can you do to make someone smile today? Because it's the smile, it's the feeling behind a smile that is God, that is the source, that is what we're all trying to connect to and we're trying to bring to this world. That said, I'd like to start a new segment here, and it's a segment that I would like you all at some point to join in on. I said before we started today that I would like to see, if you have a story that is good, that you've shared something loving to someone, you've seen a response, I'd like to hear those stories and possibly get short video clips from you. And I said, if you can't do your own video clip, I can set up a Zoom call with you and I can record it for you, because I'd like to share them on this Live Loving live stream to show how it's not just me talking about it; it's us putting it into action. And here's the next segment I'd like to do, and it can be this as well. I would like to institute a new segment called Joke Time, and and I'm going to tell a joke in here in a minute. But I want you guys to start thinking of jokes, clean jokes that you can share to get people laughing and smiling. Because I'd like to make sure that that's part of living loving is getting people laughing and smiling. So I'm going to tell you a short joke. It's a joke that I actually love. My comedy partner used to tell a version of this joke before our show sometimes, and I'm going to share it with you because I think it's a funny joke. So, all right. So we're out in the backwoods, and there's a lovely pond, and it's just beautiful, serene pond. And out in the middle of this pond is two boats, two small rowboats. They're about 30 feet apart. In the one rowboat is the good old boy, lives in the backwoods. He's just a nice guy and just a good old good old boy from backwoods, and he's out there and he's fishing, and he's got his line in the water, and he's just waiting for a bite, And about 30 feet away is a Japanese spiritual master. And he's just 30 feet away, and he is just arms flailing, whipping fish out of the water right and left. They're landing in the boat. They're piling up inside the boat like crazy. There's all these fish. He's got hundreds of fish in his boat. And the good old boy says, hey, that's incredible. What you using for bait? And the Japanese spiritual master says, bait is not important. It's completely irrelevant. It is special spiritual fishing technique. I show you. And he kneels down, he picks up one of his fish, and he holds it up. He looks it in the eye, and he goes, my mind is stronger than your mind. You go tell your brother, jump in my boat. And he throws the fish in the water. 10 seconds later, fish start jumping out of the water, landing in the boat, piling up on all sides of him. Giant amount of fish in this boat. And the good old boy says, that's incredible. He said, I've never seen that before. I'm going to try that. And he picks up the one fish he caught that day, and he holds it up, and he goes, my mind is... And that's my joke. I love that joke. I love that joke. But the idea of this is, if you got a laugh from that joke, I want you to feel the feeling behind that laugh. Feel the feeling that makes you giggle. Feel the feeling that makes that is laughter itself. Because that feeling behind that laugh, is the source. That is totally where it is. It's right there in the bottom of a laugh, in the bottom of a breath. You know, the source of God is with us in every moment of every day. I'm glad you guys thought it was funny. I did too. It's right there in the bottom of every laugh, of every smile, of every moment of your day, every breath. And all you have to do is bring it forward. You know, Todd in Afghanistan, when he went to that young lady, he didn't go into that moment tense. He went into it with a smile and a twinkle in his eye. And it surpassed her language. It just brought her to the feeling. And that's really the key, is coming to that feeling. I often say, spirituality is not a thinking, it's a feeling. And if you can get into the feeling of it, then you have the true connection to source. So I don't think anybody laughs enough, Jane. I think we can all laugh, although I do laugh a lot. I just find things funny. And I think the more people that we can get laughing in life, the more we can change the world around us. So let's take a second here, because I'm going to end this later on with a meditation that I'm going to show you guys, an interesting, cool meditation that I can teach you, that you can do almost anywhere. And then I can also, after we're done the meditation, I'll tell you how you can take it to the next level after that, because it's a pretty unique and very easy process. But let's open it up for some of your questions and answers. I know there have been lots of questions that have been coming up on the channel, and I've been answering as many as I can. But if you have any questions about how, or do you have something you want to share about how you brought a loving moment to someone, just let me know. Oh, you're quite welcome, Lori. I hope you liked the joke. I know I did. So a lot of the questions that I have been getting lately have been very specific about the life and times. Now, I have a question for you. In the videos that I'm doing, I am tapping into the lifetime of Johannes Ben Zebedee, but the other videos I'm doing are all about practical living it now. So the question I have for you is would you like to see more of the practical living it now than to hear more about that past life? Because I think that would be another direction to go if I could get some of those situations. So any questions from you guys? I'm just going to glance over here at my question monitor and my production monitor and my teleprompter. Let's glance over here. Jenny Brown finds value in both. Okay. Yes, I think there's messages in both, and I think that the one thing I do find is that there are some questions that people ask me that I just don't have answers to, because I don't have a complete memory of that life. I have got a lot. I do have a lot. I have a lot more than most people who regress do, but and that's not to say I'm better than them in any way, shape, or form. I just am very lucky that way. I think that when we teach a lesson, and we can use an example like from a past life or from the life of Jeshua, what a great example, right? I think that's a very fascinating point of view to hear from Jeshua and those guys. So, Jane the Seeker, I love this question. I've heard that Jesus studied Buddhism and Hinduism in India. I don't know exactly what he studied, but I do know from his telling me that he was all through India. And when I traveled through India, I heard all about his travels in India, because they call him the Prophet Isa in India. And they could tell you where he was and who he was with. And I would say he definitely studied both. And one of the things that I find most interesting is that when I came back from my first regression, I really felt like he was more Buddhist than Christian. So it didn't match my Catholicism as much as it matched Buddhism. Yeah, I agree with you, Jenny, about the idea that it helps people understand each other. Well, I'll tell you the other thing that I find interesting is the idea that I'm kind of losing my train of thought, so I'll come back to it. That's a sign of age. Oh, Jane the Seeker just got huge goosebumps. What'd you get goosebumps on, Jane? I don't know anything about the wise man's story, and I never heard Jeshua talk about the birth story at all. I will tell you this: as far as the birth story itself is concerned, there was never talk of Mary being a virgin. There was never talk of her being nothing but his mother, and Joseph being nothing but his father. And there was never the big story that came later. So we never had that. Hi, Alicia. I like you calling him J-Man. That's funny. Yeah. And yes, he was absolutely a person. Jeshua was absolutely a man, as was. And just so you guys know, I have some upcoming videos, one on Mother Mary coming up that I think you guys might be interested in. And let me see if I can give you a list of some of the ones that are coming so you have an idea what's headed your way. Let me see here. Okay, so just so you know, I record them and I put them in queue on YouTube. They're now releasing at midnight every night because I'm putting them in queue so that they're there. And right now, there is a total of, how many? 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 in queue. The next one is, does God approve of or justify anger? Then the next day is time to talk about Mother Mary. And then one called choosing what to believe. And then what I think of vision boards is coming down the pike. And then here we get some controversial ones coming in. John versus Paul. John talks about apparitions of Mary. And the last one of the 7 is John talks about the Gospel of Thomas. So I'm hoping you go. Oh, thank you, Julie. That's lovely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the super chats. That's my first one. Julie, you are my first super chat ever. You are my very first super chat ever. Today is the day that got released because I just got monetized just the other day. So thank you so much. You are going down in John of New History as the first super chat. Jane, I agree with you about to not be afraid of death, Jane. I think that's a part of it. I believe that when he said, he that believes in me shall have eternal life, I believe the word in should not have been in that statement. It should, he that believes me shall have eternal life, because he was telling us that he was crossing over and coming back. He was going over and seeing the other side without the body. And so your life is eternal, is what he was talking about. How do I feel about Christmas? I love Christmas. I love Santa Claus. I love presents. I don't think it has anything really to do with Jesus per se nowadays, but I think a celebration of his life is a good thing, no matter what time of the year it happens, even though it doesn't line up time-wise with when he would have been born according to the Bible, because they were talking about what was blooming and what was ripe at the time, and it was not December time. But I think it's lovely to celebrate the J-Man's life, because I think it's really important. Gina, I am doing one video. I'm releasing one video per day, but it really helps me out to record a bunch of them and get them in queue and leave them listed out there. And they release one a day. And the reason I do that is because I'm writing a book right now. I'm finishing up one book and starting a second. The first book that's being released, if you guys want to read the introduction to that, it's on my website. It's called The Recovering Catholic's Guide to Spirituality. That book will not dive into my past life stuff at all. The second book will be about my past life stuff and my experiences as John Davis this time around. This first book is literally about finding a different way than Catholicism and still feel like you're connecting to Source or God. So I put them in queue so that I have time to write, basically. You know what? I have not read the Urantia book, Judith, so I don't have a feel for that. Okay, Marianne, this is a great one. Thank you so much. This is perfect. I like the things you say and aspire to that level of love, but sometimes I can't get to forgiveness for some. I can say it, but sometimes wonder if I mean it. Well, the interesting thing is the first thing you have to do is realize that if you're trying to forgive someone, you feel like they have taken love from you in some form. They were supposed to give you unconditional love in some form, or you were expecting them to give you unconditional love, and they gave you some huge conditions and treated you wrongly. And so the first thing you have to do is realize that they were human too, and they were just as fallible as any one of us are. And so you have to be able to forgive them for being human. You have to be able to forgive them for being fallible in any form. The other thing is that they probably treated you that way because it was the best way they knew how, because of their own upbringing and their own trials and tribulations. I often talk about my father being a emotional abuser, and I was the one he didn't like, and it was just a bad time. And I had to come to a point in my life where I'd say, well, he did the best he could with what he knew. His father was an alcoholic abuser, and I had to come to the point where he was human, and forgive him for the mistakes he made as a human. Because especially, I don't know who we're talking about in your family, but if it was a parent, they were, as a child, we expect them to love us unconditionally. Because you got to remember, children just came from the unconditional love of God, so they're expecting unconditional love. And if the first people they meet are conditionally loving, then that's an issue. Then when we get married, we're getting married because we want. Oh, thank you, Holly. Thank you very much. We expect unconditional love in our romantic relationships too, and sometimes it falls apart. I got 3 ex-wives, so I mean, it's just one of those situations. So, as far as forgiveness, first of all, don't beat yourself up because you're having a struggle with forgiveness, because that's just compounding the situation. Say, I understand that they were human too, and I forgive them enough to let that go. Okay? Just forgive them enough to let that go. Once you forgive them enough to let that go, give yourself the love of saying, okay, I wish them no ill. I wish them no harm. I wish them no issues in life. They can move on and do what they have to do. I don't have to be part of that. And if they're still in your life and you're still dealing with them on a regular basis, you can actually be the one who changes the situation and do the thing that I said to the lady who was going to break up with her mother, which was, she's going to end relationships with her mother. I told her, no matter what you do or say, I'll always love you. And I have seen that work with numerous people, where they tell the person who's treating them so poorly, no matter what you do or say, I'll always love you. And I even tell them that they don't have to believe it until they get a reason to believe it. Because that person who is being the pain in the butt or giving you the struggle is probably trying to find love themselves. And the statement of, no matter what you do or say, I will always love you, is a direct statement of, there's no condition. This is unconditional love. No matter what you do or say, I will always love you. That's unconditionally love stated. And that's what they're looking for. That's what everyone in life is actually looking for. Thank you very much, Holly. That's a lovely note. Lack of fear equals love. There you go. And I might even phrase it differently. I would say everything is love, and fear is just the sunglasses we put on to block it. Jane, the thing about not being a Christian and celebrating Easter, none of those religions really remember their core very much anymore. I mean, there are people who have the Easter bunny and the eggs and the candy and everything, who aren't Christian. I think it's okay. It's the Spring Harvest Festival, if you really think about, or Spring Planting Festival, which is why it was placed where it was placed, because it's placed near a pagan holiday. So that's why it's there. Well, thank you, Elaine, for that. Love your channel. Did Joshua talk about this reality is a dream and about who we really are? I've never heard that him saying that term dream. I would say he probably said impermanent more than a dream, because this, in his mind, we are the Holy Spirit. We are the higher self. And we come here as part of that expression to experience love. So I would say he definitely thinks it's some sort of illusion, maybe, or some sort of place we go to experience, but I don't know if he would call it a dream. Yeah, I am a comedy guy. That's what I did for many, many years. And I prefer not to be called a preacher, because I think being preached to sounds terrible. Terrible. Thank you, Lori. When you know better, you do better. Love that, Claire. Nice, thanks. Oh, you were quite welcome, Marianne. Amen to that. You guys are rocking it out today. I love the talk, the expression back and forth. Before I move on to anything else, is there any more questions? Because the next thing I'm going to do here with you guys is a meditation, and it's an interesting meditation that is the start of a bigger meditation and a bigger process. And after the meditation, I will share with you what that other process is, because that'll be a very private process for you. That'll be something you'll do on your own. It was something that changed my life, just so you know. But if you have any more questions or comments, please let me know, and we'll just then we'll after the answer that we'll move on to the next. So, Patty Swimler is here. Hello, Patty Swimler. Everyone, Patty Swimler. Good to see her here. Put aside your avocado toast. Good. Good morning. Is it Marvita or Marvita? Is it I or an E sound? I think of life like a video game. You can go left or you can go right and choose what to say. But it will end, and then you can play it again with different choices. That's great. Now, it's funny you said that, because this morning before we got on session here, I was inspired to write something, and so this must be why I was inspired to write this. My life is a game. I play not to win, but to experience. Each round brings more clarity, but now I must open my heart for more clarity to go to the next level. My heart could be a game for someone else. It might not want to play. It wants to live, to express. But how do we do that? And that's all I wrote on that. But my answer to that would be to live loving and find that smile. Find the things to laugh about daily. And once you find the things to laugh about daily, then you are expressing and you're feeling and you're connecting. But I think we're in the process right now of leveling up. Claire, I completely agree with you. You'll always remember how they made you feel, but you don't necessarily always remember what they say. And there are people in my life who I can't remember their very words, but then there are some people who say something that get indelibly printed on my subconscious mind that I'll never forget. So true. So, all right. Well, let's get prepared here. This is a simple meditation. Let me get over my production board over here. This is a simple meditation. And what I want you to do is, guys, I want you to take a second. Get yourself comfortable. Now, when I start this, and here's one of the problems that I personally have with guided meditations, is they always tell you how to breathe. And I think that's totally wrong, because everyone has different lungs and different things. I think that you want to breathe as naturally as you can, but I want you to, just try to breathe deeper, okay? So when we start this process, what I want you to do, and I'm going to move in my mic a little closer to my mouth. What I want you to do is I want you to consciously think about breathing deep and consciously think about relaxing it all out, and just keep doing that until your body falls into a natural rhythm. And what will eventually happen is your breathing will shallow. But just start breathing deep so you can get fresh oxygen flowing first. And then we'll get into this. Now, I want to also say that this next piece has a piece of music attached to it. I do have the license for it, so it's not going to get flagged. It's Kevin MacLeod's, and I love the name of this song. It's called Elf Meditation. It literally is designed for meditation. And then we'll finish up with a few questions afterwards. So I'm going to click over here. Everyone get comfortable. Get your feet where you want to be and relax, and get into the state of just total relaxation. And you guys, when you're ready, I'm ready. So I'm just going to go ahead and click over to the next scene here. So, and all you're going to hear in the background at first is like a wind or an ocean noise, and it's slowly going to build. Okay. So, well, you guys, what I want you to do is just go ahead and start relaxing and taking a breath. I'm going to take just a second here and put on my headphones so that I can hear the music as well. Because if I don't have the headphones on, the music gets picked up in my microphone, and you get reverb that comes back that's bad. So I just want to put one of these in my ear to hear. That's the wrong one. Okay, here we go. Turn up the sound for me. Okay, just take a breath and relax. Breathe in at your own pace. Exhale at your own pace. Consciously think about breathing deep. The deeper you can breathe at the start, the better. Put fresh oxygen into your body and feel how it feels when you release the carbon dioxide. Just breathe. Okay, now what I'd like you to do is put all your focus on that laughter that we talked about, and feel what laughter feels like in your body. Feel that feeling of laughter. And as you feel that feeling of laughter, it permeates your face and your body, and it makes you feel lighter. Realize that that feeling is the source of God. Now as you relax deeper, I want you to take that feeling and focus on your feet. I want you to feel how when you put your focus on your feet, you can feel your feet. Now, as you think of your feet, think of warming up your feet with love. Warm your feet with love. And as you get the sensation of your feet warming with love, I want you to now put your focus on your shins and on your calves, and notice how that warmth from your feet now raises up into your shins and calves. Love gives you a warm feeling, and you're feeling it rise up through your body. Bring it into your knees and feel it. Warm up your knees. Heal any ills that are in your knees. Make your knees perfect. Feel it warming up as it raises up into your thighs. And you can feel it go through your thighs and right to your pelvis, both in front and back. You feel it vibrating down there, and your legs are entirely warm and tingling. Now you bring that energy up to just below your navel, and you feel it there. And that whole region is feeling warm there's a tingling sensation. Now it raises up through your belly button up into your solar plexus, and you feel it. You feel it in your solar plexus. It comes naturally to your heart, and you feel it. You feel it right there in your breath, that feeling naturally moving up. That warmth, that vibration, that tingling sensation. Now you bring it into your throat region, and it makes it easier to breathe, easier to exhale. And you bring it into your face, and you feel the vibration in your face. You feel the warmth as it wraps around your entire head. And then you feel it coming to the very top of your head. And your body is full of this bright, loving energy. Just breathe in and breathe out. This wonderful, warm feeling that originated in a laugh. It originated in a joyful expression of self. It originated in love. And you brought that feeling up from your feet to your crown. And now you are resonating in vibration with that same feeling. And this feeling, as you carry it in your body, affects all of those people around you, affects your entire environment. And all you have to do is come to yourself and feel this feeling. Come to yourself and express this feeling. Come to yourself and be love. No matter what anybody else says, no matter what anybody else did or does, no matter how daunting any future may be, you yourself are here and now. In this I am moment, you are living love. You are being the expression of the vibration of love here and now. And that is living loving. Sit in this for a relaxing time. And at your own leisure, bring yourself back to the conscious mind and the outer world. And I'll see you in the chat board in a few minutes. Well, thank you, Jane. That's lovely of you to say. I appreciate that. This meditation that we just did is about vibrating that essence of love. This wasn't a thinking, this was a feeling. This was an absolute feeling, a vibration within. And that vibration within is what I talk about all the time. It's about feeling that vibration within your body as you walk through life, as you choose to feel that feeling. Now, let's talk about some of the things I didn't do in that meditation. I didn't add any names of chakras. I never did name any of those points. And the reason I didn't do that is because I wanted to not think about those things as I'm feeling. I wanted to think about only the feeling. I wanted to be focused on only the visceral sensation of it, because that's the goal for me, is to get us to that place of feeling love again. Because as I said in that John Denver song, "Come Love Me Again," I think that "Come Loving Me Again" is coming back to the feeling of love again. Because I think we've wandered in the wilderness of our mind for so long that we're forgetting to feel. We're forgetting to feel it and express that feeling. And I think it's so important. Now, here's the next part of this. When I first started using this technique, it was a long time ago you started using this technique. In your own time, in your own house, and if you decide you want to do this, you can go through this exact same process and come up to that crown, which that's how I burn the hair off the top of my head doing this technique. So if you don't want to be bald, maybe you want to hold off. I'm kidding. You come up to your crown, and you can say to yourself at that moment, thank you for this love. And now I am stepping out of body, and I am experiencing what is beyond. I am safe to do so, and I am not leaving my body behind. I am just exploring what is on the outside. And then you'll probably either get a fully relaxed sensation, or in my case, I heard a thought voice. I call it a thought voice. It's like hearing somebody else's thought that said, relax into it. And as I relaxed into it, I went out of body. And that's how I learned how to do astral travel as well, by using this technique to get out of body and travel. So you have the ability at any given time to step out of body and step out of this form and take a break. That's what Jeshua did. He would go meditate and go out of body for a while. 40 days meditating and fasting. That was really him going out of body for a while. Going back and communing with the Holy Spirit self. And this is the first step in doing that kind of work, doing that space. And Gina, you do not have to worry at all about getting back into your body. You're not going to go away. You're not going to. It's not a fear-based thing at all. Your intention is to go out and explore, not to leave it, and you will come right back to it. In fact, don't go into this thinking that you're afraid you're going to get stuck out, because that's focusing on the wrong outcome. Okay, Michael. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mitchell. I swear, in the top right corner of my eye, I saw a pen dot of bright light, and then you said start coming up back. The pin light disappeared, and I opened my eyes. It was so cool. I often see, when I get up to my crown, off in the peripheral, I see the white light of the other side. And it's like there, and you turn to look at it and it goes away, right? That, to me, is it coming into experience. So when you start to see those lights out in the peripheral, your job is not to look at it. Your job is to decide to go to it, and it comes to you. When you say, okay, I am stepping out to experience. Now, the experiences that I've had have been so phenomenal. I mean, I literally, in Annapolis, Maryland, ended up going out of body and going to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, which is a 2.5-hour drive away. In minutes, I was there and documented being there. The second time I was really diving into astral travel, I went out and was standing in that pure white expanse. You probably heard me tell that story. And someone said, you're not supposed to be here yet. Which to me says, if you're going out of body and you're not supposed to be there yet, means obviously you're not leaving your body yet, right? So the idea of this is that you have the ability to step out and be part of that source at any given time. And you have the ability to come back at any given time. And you have the ability to understand this is a bad word. It's not meaning dirty word, but a bad expression of what I'm trying to say, the enormity of it all. The completeness of it all is probably a better word. You get to go out of the body and you get to experience those things. Thank you, Val. That's very, very, very lovely. For you guys who are looking for the longer videos or the longer meditations, I do have a 30-minute one that's helps pay for the page and all the stuff on the YouTube channel called Becoming the Avatar as well. I plan on putting out a couple more long videos like that as downloads. Long videos as downloads because I think that if I could do ones that were very specifically pointed at different things that people want to work on, releasing the past people that have harmed you, or releasing the belief in lack, doing very specific meditations in those veins, but having them be in longer form, like 35 minutes or so. That way you have a chance to really work on the subconscious mind at a very much deeper level. And I think you'll have more change. And the longer ones, I will probably put them up as digital downloads for purchase, just because I've got to keep a roof over my head. That's the only reason. Jane the Seeker, is that how people come through me? Are you? So I'm assuming, Jane, you're a medium. People will meet you in that ethereal plane. They'll meet you in that place, and they'll drop information in, and that's how you get it. And so it's a two-way highway. But here's the other thing: being a two-way highway, they're coming into you, and you're delivering through your personal filter. And so even people like John Edwards and all those people, they don't really understand sometimes what they're saying, and they're interpreting differently, and they just they don't fully get it, right? And the one thing I will say is, if you're doing that kind of work, realize if they're coming from the other side, they are not in any way, shape, or form bad. They are in the most loving, unconditionally loving place there is. And if you're having a bad experience with something, quote unquote, coming through, that is your belief struggling, rather than them being an evil entity, because evil entities do not exist. Jane, I pretty much had the same kind of experience. I had one yesterday that was really, really interesting. I had someone come through who didn't know really either one of us, but the person I was working for actually knew of them and knows all that person's friends, but that person passed away, and still came through with a specific message for her. There is no need to fear. Yes, absolutely. So, guys, this has been a lovely, lovely hour together. Thank you so much. I didn't actually, I'm sorry I didn't bring you any special guests today, but I'm sure I'll be bringing them again. I know Tamara has expressed interest in coming back. And I know that there's other people who I'd like to bring on that I'll, if I get them, then I'll tell you they're coming on. I'd like to also say, don't forget, Alora Cheek. If you go to her channel, she does private sessions for Hale, the channeling, at askalora.com. If you go to Light Seeds by Holly, you can get animal Reiki, distance Reiki, and she gives there's if it's either a free session or a discount session that she gives. And then if you really want to get into some real practical how to make a happy, loving life, check out tamarazoner.com and look at what she's bringing out. Her passion test was really pretty powerful to show you what you really want in life. Very phenomenal. And thank you guys. It's been wonderful. Mitchell, by the way, I did see that message you sent me about that, about your dad teaching a class. And I thought it was really fascinating. I also find it fascinating that it's coming through your filter as well. So I think I loved that. I thought it was great. Thank you. Great. Well, thank you guys. And this is going to happen again next Sunday. Every Sunday from now on. That's just it. We're going to do it every Sunday. And we'll find new and exciting things to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed the Todd Key story in Afghanistan. That to me is one of the most powerful stories I know. And you can check out Todd and his children's book and stuff at toddkeyjuggles.com. And thank you for the super chats. I got my first super chats. I'm really excited about that today. I also thank you all for being a part of the massive growth of this YouTube channel. People are amazed that we monetized in 7 weeks. And I'm just blown away by the energy behind it all, and completely honored that you would take the time to listen and decide whether it fits for you, because that's all that really matters, is that you find the things that you want, that you believe, and that rings true to your heart, and that you follow it. Have a great day, my friends, and I'll talk to you next Sunday.